It's a project that conjures up the heady days of British engineering excellence personified by Isambard Kingdom Brunel. The British-born engineer is best remembered for building the Great Western Railway, which still connects London to the west of England and is considered one of the finest rail lines of the Victorian era.
Now, 175 years after the first stretch of that line opened, there are some 10,000 people and 8 giant tunnelling machines working on sites like this, deep under the streets of London, in a drive to better connect the east with the west of the capital. It's a £14.8 billion programme called Crossrail, and it's the biggest infrastructure programme in Europe.
A joint enterprise between Transport for London and the UK's Department of Transport, Crossrail is reaching its halfway mark. Once finished, it will link some of the commuter towns on Brunel's Great Western Line via a 120-kilometre route that will run right through the heart of London and out towards the eastern suburbs. The central part of the line will run in 21 kilometres of deep tunnels, navigating a labyrinth of underground metro lines, building foundations and sewers. The tunnels themselves will be over 60% larger than the current tube network to accommodate bigger 200-metre-long trains. When it opens in 2018, Crossrail will lift the capital's rail capacity by 10%. It'll be a much-needed boost given that London's underground rail network already carries more than 1.2 billion passengers a year and is heavily congested during peak hours.
Deploying a fleet of 8 tunnel boring machines, making sure that you control the technical risks, making sure that you understand the interfaces. These are some of the huge risks that exist on Crossrail. Fitting out the stations and making a railway, making a world-class railway, are the larger risks. But if you're not on time, on budget halfway through, then you're always going to constrain that second half. So I'm looking about the systems and the system integration, bringing the rolling stock into play in 2017, bringing the train operating company to bear, and finishing these fantastic spaces that will define a world-class railway.
Remarkably, for a big construction project, it appears to be running on schedule and within budget. But like so many infrastructure undertakings in Britain, Crossrail suffered a long and painful gestation period. It took more than 30 years before this idea stepped off the drawing board.
This took a very long time, and that is really because of this extraordinary way in Britain that we, as it were, develop and then try to find the funding for big projects. Had the money been used for something else, it might have achieved even more, but this is the way we do things. And I think from London's point of view, it will be an enormous signifier, an indication of how the city is still open for business, developing and modernising, and that will be very good.
Crossrail figures suggest the price of commercial space along the line will climb 10% over the next decade. And it's not just in the centre where property developers see benefits. Here in Hayes, in the west of the capital, a former record factory is being redeveloped by Cathedral Group in a £140 million project. The developers say that 4,000 new jobs will be created in the process.
We were excited by the property aspects alone and the heritage and the architecture, but the no-brainer, the real thing that got us particularly excited was the seismic change, the step change that happens from infrastructure projects like Crossrail. It has a huge effect on London.
Crossrail is also giving government ministers increasing confidence when it comes to promoting other big UK projects, such as plans for the controversial £50 billion HS2 scheme, a high-speed rail link between London and the north of England.
There's no better way of demonstrating your capability than to do something extremely difficult like this and to do it so effectively. And you're right, a lot of the learning that's been accomplished here will transfer directly into HS2, and we've got a similarly great team with excellent leadership there, starting to apply these same practices. So it gives us significant confidence. I know we can deliver HS2 on time and on budget. The other side of the equation is making sure that we extract all the broad economic benefits that come with an investment of that scale.
There's certainly a sense among everyone involved on Crossrail that they're working on a project that's just that bit special. If it's delivered on time and on budget, it could do more than boost London's economy and rail capacity. It could also give government and industry the impetus needed to take on other large projects. Now that would be a legacy worthy of Brunel. This is Mark Odell, Financial Times in London.